This is Vnews broadcast daily, and following are the headlines.
Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng wraps up visit to Indonesia. Vietnamese-French parties step up cooperation. Asian Development Bank suggests Vietnam continue tightened policy. Vietnam-India Trade Forum held in Hanoi. Exhibition commemorates Australian journalist.
Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng concluded his two-day visit to Indonesia on September 14th.
During his visit, Prime Minister Dũng held talks with Indonesian President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono, where they agreed to bring bilateral relations to a new height towards the formation of strategic partnership. Vietnam and Indonesia issued a joint communique at the end of the visit, emphasizing 5 developments in traditional friendship and multifaceted cooperation between Vietnam and Indonesia since the two countries set up diplomatic ties on December 30th, 1955. Both sides agreed to further cooperate in the fields of politics, security, national defense, economics, trade, investment, agro-fisheries, culture, education, sports, and physical training. Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng and President Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono applauded the organization of the third round of negotiations on demarcating the exclusive economic zone and agreed to accelerate the demarcation of the exclusive economic zone boundary of the two countries. As part of his visit, Prime Minister Dũng also met with Speaker of the Indonesian People's Consultative Assembly, Taufik Kemas.
As part of his visit to Switzerland, Vietnamese Deputy Prime Minister Hoàng Trung Hải was received by head of the Swiss National Council, Jean-Rene Germania, in Bern on September 14th.
At the reception, head of the Swiss National Council, Jean-Rene Germania, said Switzerland will continue to promote its friendship and multifaceted cooperation with Vietnam. The Swiss Parliament will increase experience sharing in operations of the two legislative bodies, especially at committee level and parliamentarians groups. Deputy Prime Minister Hải said Vietnam always attaches importance to boosting traditional friendship and cooperation with Switzerland, particularly the cooperation between the two parliaments. He took this opportunity to convey National Assembly Chairman Nguyễn Sinh Hung's invitation to Jean-Rene Germania to visit Vietnam. The Swiss Member of Parliament accepted the invitation with pleasure. The same day, Deputy Prime Minister Hải met with Doris Lhardt, head of the Federal Department of Environment, Energy, Transport and Communications, to discuss measures to enhance management and effective use of energy as well as environmental protection. The Swiss minister committed to further promote cooperation with Vietnam in the fields of research. Deputy Prime Minister Hải also met with the Switzerland-Vietnam Friendship Association and staff of the Vietnamese Embassy in Switzerland.
National Secretary of French Communist Party Pierre Laurent on September 14th received a high-ranking delegation of the Communist Party of Vietnam led by Thuận Hữu, editor-in-chief of the Nhân dân daily newspaper.
The Vietnamese delegation is visiting France to attend the humanitarian newspaper festival hosted by the French Communist Party from September the 16th to 18th. Pierre Laurent spoke highly of Vietnam's participation in the festival. He said this is an important and necessary contribution to boosting cooperative ties between the two parties and nations in the coming time. Pierre Laurent added that Vietnam's presence at the event is of significance as it prepares for the France-Vietnam Cultural Exchange in 2012. The year marks the 40th anniversary of bilateral diplomatic ties. For his part, he thanked the French side for its priority to Vietnam at the event and expressed his hope that the close and effective ties between the two parties will be developed through regular exchanges of high-ranking delegations. He also expects the fine relations between the humanitarian newspaper and Nhân dân daily will be expanded in the years to come.
Vietnamese Foreign Ministry spokesman Lương Thanh Nghị said on September 14th that Vietnam supports the National Transitional Council (NTC) to take over Libya's seat in the UN General Assembly and respects all decisions of the Libyan people. He said the Vietnamese missions to the United Nations on September 14th handed over a diplomatic note supporting the National Transition Council to take over Libya's seat in the UN General Assembly. Vietnam respects all decisions of the Libyan people and hopes the power handed over to Libya will take place smoothly. Libya's sovereignty and independence and territorial integrity will be guaranteed. We do hope that the NTC and political forces in Libya will take effective measures to restore peace and stability soon and promptly conduct general elections to elect an administration of national concord and reconciliation representing the will and interests of the entire Libyan people. The Asian Development Bank on September 14 recommended that Vietnam continue to maintain its tightened policy in order to lower inflation.
In its Asian Development Outlook 2011 update, ADB forecast that Vietnam's inflation is projected to rise to 18.7% from the previous predicted figure of 13.3% because of higher food prices, before moderating to 11% next year. ADB said Resolution 11, a comprehensive policy package, has made good initial progress by helping the exchange rate to stabilize, allowing foreign reserves to be replenished and lowering monthly inflation outcomes during June-August period.
11, for example, the dong exchange rate has been stabilized, and foreign exchange reserve has been partially replenished. And also, if you look at the monthly inflation outcome from June to August, there has been some moderation. So there has been some positive development. However, normally there will be some lag when the stabilized exchange rates and lower credit growth really start to impact on the consumer.
The report commended efforts taken by the government, but observed that the market was receiving mixed signals on both monetary and fiscal policies that was undermining the effectiveness of the macroeconomic stabilization package. It said deteriorating bank credit quality remained a risk. Macroeconomic tightening after a period of rapid growth in credit will have placed stresses on borrowers and banks. The government needed to take concrete actions to safeguard the financial sector.
The Vietnam-India Trade Forum took place in the capital city of Hanoi on September 15 with the aim of boosting trade and investment cooperation between the two countries.
More than 20 Indian companies operating in the fields of investment, infrastructure, telecoms, banking, healthcare, education, technology, chemicals, agriculture, and forestry attended the event. They exchanged information and explore market needs and cooperation opportunities in Vietnam.
There are many sectors. Infrastructure, which is a very important sector both in Vietnam and India, I think there are many opportunities. Whether it is in the power sector, the hydropower sector, whether it is in oil and gas, the hydrocarbon sector, whether it is in the field of transportation, highways and railways, I think there are a lot of opportunities. The other important area is agriculture. Both our countries are agrarian economies, so I think there are many synergies that can develop, especially in the agro-processing sector. Vietnam is doing extremely well in many areas.
Vietnam and India lifted bilateral relations to a level of strategic partnership in 2007. Two-way trade reached almost $2.8 billion in 2010 and expected to hit $5 billion by 2015. At present, over 50 Indian enterprises are investing in Vietnam with a combined capital of $500 million.
A special photo exhibition featuring Winfred Buchet, one of the outstanding journalists of the 20th century and a great Australian friend of Vietnam, opened in Hanoi on September 14th.
Co-organized by the Ho Chi Minh Museum, the Vietnam News Agency, the Union of Vietnam-Australia Friendship Organization, and Winfred Buchet's family, the exhibition Winfred Buchet in Vietnam were designed to commemorate the journalist on the occasion of his 100th birthday. On display at the exhibition are 100 photographs taken by the Australian journalist in Vietnam from March 1954, when he first visited President Ho Chi Minh in his jungle headquarters in Thái Nguyên province, to May 1966, when he recorded the first ever televised interview with the late Vietnamese president. Winfred Brochet had offered much favor and love for the Vietnamese people and land. His books, articles and films on Vietnam were read and seen around the world and had a major influence in alerting world public opinion to the American war against Vietnam and rallying support against the war. Having spent nearly 30 years in the journey with the Vietnamese people, the Australian journalist reported the various stages of Vietnam's struggle on the road to socialism, independence and reunification. He wrote a total of 8 books on Vietnam, which became international bestsellers and were translated into some 30 languages. The exhibition will open to visitors until October the 4th.
And that's the end of Vnews today. Thanks for watching and see you next time.